It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to jump on that gigantic, sharp, interactive board. I want to share my thoughts on Toshiba's first half of their FY25. In today's episode, I'm going to dig into the revenue numbers coming out of Americas for both the retail and the workplace. And I'm going to make an argument, probably one of the best ones I've ever made, because you know me, I've been screaming at Toshiba to bring the retail and the workplace business units together. And I guess they watched the show in Japan because they actually did that in the domestic marketplace of Japan. They brought retail and workplace together. They did that at the end of FY 2024, and now they need to do it in the rest of the damn world. Because when I look at the numbers coming out of the Americas to Toshiba in workplace, and I look at the numbers coming out of Americas in the retail group, that revenue needs to be 10 times what it is. And I don't believe that they're going to do 10 times more revenue in the print sector. Look, I love my friends at Toshiba, but it's not going to happen. Are they going to double that number? Are they going to triple that number? I think they'll struggle to even triple it in a declining marketplace, oversaturated. But boy, when I look at that retail business, when I think about all those friends of mine that sell supply and service print equipment that need to diversify the product, I think they could damn sure triple, quadruple that number. And so without any further ado, let's jump on the board. I want to share my thoughts with you. Toshiba, I put this together for you when I started this campaign to bring these two things together. Toshiba, navigating people while they work or when they shop through the intersection between the digital and physical worlds. The only damn problem is you got two different navigators, and you need one. You need one rifle-focused sales force to go out into the marketplace and share the fantastic solutions that Toshiba has. And folks, you have a massive army of salespeople, okay, in the Americas marketplace, even in the European marketplace. Dealers that sell your print equipment that have to diversify, that can go out and spread the word and flood the SMB retail space with your products and your software. Toshiba's top line revenue for the first half is $1.7 billion. They had an operating profit loss of $7.1 million. You can't lose money, okay? Toshiba as a company in the second quarter, they had an operating profit, but it doesn't matter because you got to put it together for the first half. And folks, you know, the one thing Toshiba did, I'm going to share it on my next slide, is they put together the impact of tariffs. And I want to ask all of my friends that sell supply and service print equipment a question. What should the OEMs do regarding tariffs? Should they just eat it? What should you, a dealership, be doing regarding tariffs and your end users? You know, I just find it so amazing that you go on social media and you'll see folks in the industry talking about how fantastic their companies are. They might say stuff like, you should never buy from an OEM, direct operation. You should only buy from the local dealer because we're so much better. We'll come and deliver you a toner. We're just so easier to do business with, and all the stories and all the good stuff. There's some merit to some of those conversations. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, when it goes time to replace the machine, what happens? Well, it's a vendor auction. Whoever's cheapest usually wins. I think about during COVID when our industry was having friggin' sales. Okay, we were having sales during COVID, the worst supply chain crisis our industry's ever had. I'm thinking about right now what's going on with tariffs here in the Americas marketplace. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the direct impact of tariffs and the indirect impact of tariffs for Toshiba for their FY 2025 is projected at $115.5 million. Their tariff measures, they want to cut $44.9 million of that $115.5 million. Where do you think that's coming from? It's coming, hopefully, because they're going to raise some prices. It's coming because they probably got to let human capital go. And still, for FY 2025, their projection is $70.6 million impact from tariffs. Halfway through the year, they're at $50.7 million. That's a crap load of money. So what should the OEMs be doing? And one of the reasons our industry can't raise prices to end users is because we're such a commodity industry. That's the only reason, right? And a lot of my friends in the industry that are moving into IT, cybersecurity, and all these things, you're going to have to be able to raise your prices even in the contract. And the smart IT services companies know that. They learned that a long time ago. The cost to secure someone could be a whole lot more than it was just 2 years ago. Our industry, the cost of supplies is a whole lot more than it was 2 years ago. We got to get past this nonsense that the only way we're going to be able to keep a customer is to be the cheapest one in the room and not raise any prices. We can't do it. Because sooner or later, the OEMs are not going to eat this. They're not. They're going to say, wait a second. And they're going to hope that the industry follows along. And I know there'll be some folks out there that'll start having advertising campaigns. Oh, we don't pass tariffs on to our customers. We're eating it. Of course, your customers look at that and they think you're nuts. If you look at the first quarter for the whole company, you look at the second quarter for the whole company, it was the first quarter that killed them. The second quarter, they actually made $1 million in operating profit. But again, it doesn't really matter because you have to go by where they're at halfway through. Let's look at the Workplace Solutions Business Group. All those friends of mine sell supply and service print equipment. The global number is $701.3 million. They had an operating profit of $8.3 million, or 1.2%. In the Americas marketplace, $333.6 million halfway through the year is the revenue coming out of Americas. In dollars, it's $211.3 million coming out of Europe. The rest of that $701.3 is coming from other. But let's think about this $333.6 million in print coming out of Americas. You wrap that up for the full year, where are you going to be? 700 million, 800 million? And at the end of the day, could that get to 3 billion? Could that get to 4 billion? No. I mean, it's not. And so where is real opportunity for Toshiba? Is to make as much damn money as they can off that Workplace Solutions Business Group. It's to still go out there and pound it like there's no tomorrow. But they got to give that sales force some other things they could sell and add to the revenue. When I look at the operating profit of the Workplace Solutions Business Group, they do pretty well. I mean, they do have their hiccups, right? We're in one right now. But first quarter of 2024, 6.9%. Second quarter of 2024, 5.8%. 6.5% in the fourth quarter. It's in this first quarter of 2025, the second quarter. It's getting tough. And we got a lot of economic things going on to make it tough. But at the end of the day, you know, Toshiba is disciplined with their operating profit. Should it be more? Yeah, it should be more. But I think about some of the major players, do I need to mention their names, that don't come anywhere near a 6 or 7% operating profit? When I think about the workplace business unit, the solutions, and their document management software they sell, you know, they do the thing with the QR code now. They're doing a lot of things. Workflow. They got Elevate, Sky. And folks, I wanted to go back to that Canada report. And that Canada report, they did that publication of the survey, and they asked these dealers, and there was a crap load of them, like 400 dealers. Like, what's the percentage of revenue from the different buckets? And the percentage of revenue for document management was 1.9%. And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, so if Toshiba in America is doing $333.6 million, if that follows true to them, 1.9% of that revenue is in document management products, that would mean they're doing $6.5 million for the first half. So that's a $13 million a year business. Can they grow that to be $100 million? I don't see it. Can they grow that to be $50 million? I could see that. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, where's the real growth going to come from for the future of Toshiba? It's going to come from this Retail Solutions Business Group. Let me share some thoughts on this. Total revenue for the globe is $970.5 million. The Retail Business Solutions, guess what? They had an operating profit loss of $14.8 million. And that loss was actually in the overseas marketplace. Operating profit loss in the overseas marketplace was $37.9 million. The operating profit in the domestic marketplace in Japan was $23.1 million. We know that at the end of 2024, Japan listened to the end of the day with Ray, right? And they said, hey, let's put the retail and the workplace together. So there's some things that got to be filtered out through that process. But folks, if you look at the Americas marketplace for retail, $242.3 million for the first half. So that's a $500 million, $600 million business for Toshiba in Americas. Could you imagine how that could be $2 billion? Could you imagine how that could be $3 billion? I can. Just think about it. Just think about thousands of salespeople selling retail applications, software, smart shopping carts, cashierless registers, all this fancy software. Think about how much more money coming in, profitably coming in, because at the end of the day, in my vision of the Retail Solutions Business Group and the Workplace Solutions Business Group coming together, guess who controls the sale to the end user? It'll be the Workplace Solutions people that do it. And folks, here's the other thing. Where are they going to put those products? They're going to put them in the SMB space, and I think Toshiba does really great in that enterprise space. But they need that SMB space. I mean, those retail products can go in the hospitality sector, liquor stores, pharmacies, mom and pop grocery stores, all the things our industry loves to call out every single day. When I looked at the profitability of the Retail Solutions Group over the last year, plus the 2 quarters we're in now, the whole problem's in their overseas marketplace. Now, I will say this, and I don't know how to prove this, but I'm thinking that a lot of the cost for development, for R&D, and all these costs are getting hit in the overseas marketplace. Could be one of the reasons. And if they're looking at R&D, that's all great stuff. But, you know, I said a while back when I was promoting this concept of putting this stuff together that, you know, there's a lot of really smart people that like to develop things and like to develop software. And sometimes they take way too damn long before they take it into the marketplace. Sometimes they need to get that crap in the damn marketplace because it works. And keep developing as you go. When I think about Elra, their software, they're literally replacing the legacy software, and they're doing a really good job with this. They say in 2025 that it's going to be $50 million in dollars. Well, if you think about that, it's $970.5 million in total sales around the world for retail. $50 million in the software is 5%. How are they going to get that to 20%, to 30%, to 40% of the total revenue? Well, they're going to get that by having an army out there selling this stuff. They do fantastic in the enterprise space. They got some great relations in the enterprise space. But I really believe for Toshiba to get this retail business really to be huge, I'm talking $5-6 billion on its own, they got to get a bigger army out there selling, and that revenue and those profits are going to come from the SMB space. That enterprise space is tough. It's just like the print space. Enterprise is tough. It's tough on your profits. You know, it's hard to bring real additional value to the enterprise space. Everybody wants something for cheap. But in the SMB space, coming into the marketplace with game-changing retail solutions, and we all know that the retail space is changing drastically. It needs innovation. It needs a lot of challenges, right? I think Toshiba's right for bringing those challenges. I wanted to share this slide. I compared Brothers' revenue in Americas to the revenue of Toshiba in Americas. And I looked at Toshiba's retail and Toshiba's workplace together in America's first half is $575.9 million. I looked at Brothers' revenue in their P&S, which is their MFP business, and their IP, which is basically their domino business, that production industrial print business they have. Those two things together in the U.S. marketplace, America's marketplace, $596.3 million for their first half. Pretty close in revenue to that of Toshiba. So the question is, if you look at the printing and solutions for the first half, for Brother is $1.7 billion. Toshiba's print is $333.6 million. And my question to Toshiba, and I'm not saying this to be mean to them, to cause them problems, I'm saying it as a reality. Can you get your America's print business to $2 billion or $4 billion? Can you? I don't think you can. And if you can't get it to $4 or $5 billion, where can you get your revenue from? Well, you can get it from that retail business group, I assure you. They're forecasting in the retail business to do $2.2 billion globally, with a $38.7 million operating profit, or 1.7%. They're forecasting in the Workplace Solutions Business Group total revenue globally $1.4 billion, with an operating profit of $38.7 million, or 2.8%. Total company altogether for the year FY25, they want $3.6 billion, with an operating profit of $77.4 million, or 2.2%. And it goes back to that question. Toshiba, what could you get the Workplace Business Group to be on an annual basis? Versus what do you think you could get that Retail Solutions Business Group to be on an annual basis? I believe it could be billions. You just got to have the right sales force with the right mindset going out in the marketplace to disrupt it. Because my friends at Toshiba, you are navigating people when they work and where they shop through that intersection between the digital and physical world. You just got too many navigators. It's time to bring it all together because everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck there, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.